My red light on?
Karabuni means welcome in Swahili. Welcome aboard. Might have a seat. We're going to be on our way in just a few moments. If your whole party doesn't fit comfortably, it means you're on the next truck.
Can't do that now.
No, I don't think we could when we were there.
All right, thank you. Jumbo, everybody. Jumbo, welcome aboard. My name is Callie. I'm going to be your safari guide today as we head out into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, if you have cameras, I would recommend having those out and ready to go, preferably on a sport or an action type setting if you have it. It's going to get very bumpy out here. We're going to be going over some uneven and sometimes unpaved roads. So we're going to be bumping around quite a bit. I won't be able to stop for every single animal we see, and when we do stop, it won't be for very long. So just make sure you're really ready to get those pictures. As you take a look up overhead, there are animal spotting guides up above your seats. Give you an idea of some of the animals we might find and kind of help you to identify them a little bit as we head through the reserve today. Now, we probably aren't going to see every single one of those animals, mostly due to sleeping habits and migration patterns, but we usually get pretty lucky and see quite a few out there. All right, guys, so I do want to ask everyone to please make sure and stay seated the entire time as we go through the reserve today. That includes the little ones. They can sit on your lap, but they do have to stay all the way seated, please. And make sure to keep your arms and hands inside the truck as well. Not only are we hopefully going to get really close to some wild animals out there, we're definitely going to be getting close to some bushes and plants, and a lot of them might have thorns or sharp edges sticking out. So just make sure you're all the way in. All right, now it looks like I have clearance from the warden to enter, so Twende. That means let's go. Once again, this is the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and it's made up of a number of different ecosystems that we're going to travel through today. And every ecosystem has different types of animal and plant life that make it up, and they kind of work together to keep everything running smoothly. So hopefully we'll see a very wide variety out here today. Now, this first area is called the Little Ituri Forest. If you look on the right, leaning out of the stump there, that's an okapi. And over here on the left, very well hidden antelope behind the bamboo there, those are bongo. Now, okapi look like they might be related to zebras with those black and white stripes on their legs, but they're actually the only known living relative of the giraffe. They have the same skull structure as a giraffe and the same long prehensile tongue. Helps them get the leaves out of the trees. Now, bongo have white stripes down their sides. That's a form of camouflage. Helps them to blend in with the trees and plants around the forest really well. Now, locals call them the ghosts of the forest because they're very rarely seen. Both the male and female bongo have horns, and they're kind of curved back to help them get through the brush more easily. And then they come to a twist at the end to help them dig underground for roots to eat. As we come around the corner, up on the hill here, they'll be on the right side of the truck, there are some more very well hidden antelope. Those are greater kudu. Now, they're one of the taller antelope in Africa. They can grow to be up to 5 feet at the shoulder. Oh, awesome. Okay, look over here on the left. Kind of walking around behind the tree there. That's a black rhino. I always like to see black rhinos out on these reserves because that means they're being protected. And there are only about 5,000 of them left in the entire world. So we like to see them being taken care of as much as possible. There's another one laying up against the rocks there. Now, black rhinos weigh around 3,000 pounds, and they can charge it up to 35 miles an hour. So They're pretty tough. They don't have any natural predators. Their only real threat is from humans. Unfortunately, they're hunted for their horns. Black rhinos also have a prehensile upper lip. Helps them grip the leaves to pull them out of the bushes and plants. So that's a very unique attribute to have. You don't see that very often. Okay, I'm gonna head over to the Safi River next. The Safi River is usually a pretty good place to look for Nile hippos. Let's see what we can find out here today. Keep in mind that hippos are nocturnal animals, so they're usually more active at night. And a lot of times during the day, they'll stay submerged in the water, and then they'll go out in the evening to find food. I do think I see some up ahead there. We'll give that truck a moment to move forward so we can get a closer look. Down here on the right where those logs are sticking out. Hippos are herbivores.
Where we see a
They
hippo?
only eat plants.
Top of his head?
Two of them down there.
Two of them.
Oh, and a big group over here on the left too. Pull up so we can get a bit of a view on both sides here.
There's a baby
A
one.
bunch of them.
A group of hippos is called a bloat. And they usually don't swim to get across the river. They can swim, but usually they prefer to walk along the bottom. It's a little bit easier for them. And they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time to help with that. These big birds here on the left are pink-backed pelicans. They get their name because they have a slight pink coloration under their feathers. You can't see it too well right now, but it gets a lot brighter and darker during mating season. And they're very social birds too. They live in big communities of up to 1,000. You see there's a black and white bird kind of up on the bank there as well behind the island. That's a white-breasted cormorant. They're one of the few birds that can dive underwater to fish.
How do we do this thing?
Oh, awesome. Okay, keep looking to the left as we go across the bridge. Those are Nile crocodiles. And Nile crocodiles can grow 16 to 20 feet long and weigh up to 500 pounds. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, they grow about as long as a giraffe is tall. So they can get pretty big. And you probably noticed most of them are laying very still out there, not moving a whole lot. That's because they're full-blooded, so they have to regulate their body temperature. And while they're doing that, they don't like to use up a lot of excess energy, so they'll usually only move when they have to. It's the same reason you'll sometimes see them with their mouths propped open. That's how they release hot gases from inside their body to help keep their temperature where they want it. A group of crocodiles is called a float. And they're the largest of all the crocodile species that include crocodiles and alligators.
Crocodile.
Alright, you can see where it looks like the trees are starting to thin out a little bit as we come around the corner. See a little bit more sun. That's a good indication that we're headed into a different ecosystem. Like I said, every ecosystem has unique types of animals to that system. So, very exciting. The next area we're about to enter is called the Savannah. And the Savannah is home to some of Africa's more recognizable animals. Things like giraffes, elephants, zebras. So just make sure you have your cameras ready and see what we can find out here today. This big tree over here on the right is called a baobab tree. It's also sometimes called an upside down tree. As you can see, it kind of looks like the roots are up at the top there. They get that look because they're leafless for most of the year. And they're very well adapted to their environment. They can store about 9 months worth of water in their trunks in case of drought or an extended dry season. And they've been known to live for up to 2,000 years.
Ooh, I see some giraffes. This is gonna be the good stuff here.
Alright, I'll look at this gorgeous view here. Now from the overlook, you can get a really good view of the savannah and how wide open it is compared to the forests and rivers we went through before. A lot of the animals that live out here are very large, like giraffes, elephants, rhinos, things like that. But a lot of the smaller ones will also live in big groups, and a lot of them migrate and travel across the savannah. So a very wide open area. You can already see some giraffes out there in the distance. We're going to be heading that way. All right, over here on the right, kind of back behind the logs there in the corner, there are some grayish colored animals. Those are white-bearded wildebeest. They're also called gnu, G-N-U. About 1.5 million of them will migrate across the savanna every year, 500 to 1,000 miles at a time.
Huh?
They'll hang out in groups of up to
Lions eat
1,000
wildebeest?
altogether. And when they sleep in rows with spaces in between the rows. So if they have to run away from a predator, they can all get up and run in the same direction without tripping over each other. Alright, now the giraffes on the reserve are Maasai giraffes. You can tell because their spots have jagged edges. They don't quite line up evenly with each other. They're the tallest land animals. They grow 18 to 20 feet tall as adults. And they're already about 6 feet tall when they're born. Now, like I said, we are going to kind of be heading around that way, so I think we can see them a little better on the other side. And there's one laying down there. That's actually pretty rare to see.
Spanish. Something.
Giraffes usually only lay down if they feel completely safe, because that's the only time they're ever really vulnerable to predators. These guys with the big horns over here on the right are Ankole cattle. They're also called Watusi cattle, after the tribe that first domesticated them. Now, they're the only domesticated animals that we're going to see on the reserve, and they're usually farmed more as a sign of wealth rather than for food or for milk.
Yeah, like a big horn.
All right, look over here on the left, kind of laying down back behind the log there. Those are African wild dogs.
Oh, the
They're also
hyenas
called
back there,
African
baby.
painted
Toward the
dogs
back.
because of those elaborate coat patterns. And they're very skilled at teamwork. They communicate and cooperate really well together. And because of that, they're the most successful hunters in Africa. They work together as a team to wear out their prey. These guys over here on the left by the tree there, those are sable antelope. They're the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. So it's always pretty cool to spot them out here. And they have long curved horns that they use for protection from predators and for sparring during mating and dominance rituals. Now we're going to get closer to the giraffes and the Ankole cattle there. Now you can get a good look at how big those horns are. Their horns can grow to be up to 5 feet long, but they're not quite as heavy as they look. They're mostly hollow inside, and they circulate blood to help keep the animals cool. Looks like we can get a pretty good look at this giraffe here on the left. Oh, it doesn't move on too far.
Oh, this one.
A giraffe's tongues are 18 inches long, and they're prehensile. That means they can grip things with them, so it helps them get the leaves out of some of the taller trees. And that can be a big advantage for them out here, because most animals can't get up that high to get those leaves. So they basically have their own food source up there. Their tongues are also very dark purple, almost
so
black
thick. The
in
horns are so
color.
big.
And most scientists think that's to keep them from getting sunburned, because they spend most of their time eating, so their tongues are often exposed to the sun. Okay, we're gonna good look at these guys here on the right, and those very small antelope behind them. Those are springbok. The springbok get their name because they can jump 6 feet straight up in the air from standing, or 13 feet if they're jumping forward. And they're one of the fastest land mammals in the world, too. Very athletic little
13
animals.
feet.
They only grow to be about 3 feet tall.
Is that the tree house?
A group of giraffes is called a tower. Very appropriate. And you can get a second look at those wildebeest there on the right as well. And my favorite thing about giraffes is that they only sleep about 30 minutes a day. And not even all at the same time. They'll take lots of quick power naps all throughout the day. Like I said, usually still while standing up, in case they have to be on the run from predators. The giraffes have the same number of vertebrae in their necks that humans have. They're just a lot more spaced out. They have a lot of joints and ligaments in between, so their necks are extremely flexible. Helps them to bend down to get food and water. And it's also how they fight for dominance and things like that. They'll hit their necks against each other. there's a watering hole around the corner over here. Usually watering holes are a really good place to look for animal activity.
Lions. I don't know.
Alright, as we come around, make sure you're looking on the right side, right next to the water there. There's an African elephant. Let me pull around, see if we can get a really good view. If you look on the left, look closely, walking around kind of back behind the bushes there. I know they're a little hard to see, but there's a couple monkeys back there. Those are mandrills. And mandrills are the largest monkeys in the world.
Where's the monkeys?
Males grow to be up to 100 pounds, but females usually only get up to around 30 pounds. Now, African elephants live in matriarchal herds, made up of the female and adolescent elephants and led by a matriarch. And when the males are old enough, they'll go off on their own or sometimes join small bachelor groups. So that's why this one's kind of out here by himself. Now we're kind of on the outskirts of elephant country right now, so if we're lucky we can find some more out here. Unfortunately, since that road is closed though, we're going to have to take an alternate route. And that means we're going to have to go over a very old, very creaky bridge. Looks even worse than I remember. Alright, I'm gonna go poly-poly. That means very slowly. So bear with me for a moment here. And you might want to cross your fingers just in case. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, everybody lean right. Lean right, lean right.
Lean right in.
Woo. Not okay. Somebody didn't cross their fingers. Hakuna Matata, no worries. Looks like we made it anyway. Alright, let's see what we can find up ahead here. Now these reddish colored rocks that you're going to see around this area are made of clay. And elephants eat clay to get minerals that they need in their diets. You can see there's some tusk marks and footprints down in the side of the rocks there. Looks like pretty recent activity. Oh yeah, looks like there is a herd out there. Awesome, we'll head that way. Unfortunately, we lose about 96 elephants every single day due to poaching here in Africa. They're hunted illegally for their tusks, and it can be a big problem. So just like with the black rhinos, we're always really happy to see them around these reserves because that means they're being protected. And animals within these protected areas usually have pretty high survival rates. Now, elephants have the longest adolescence of any animals besides humans. They'll stay with their mothers 13 to 15 years. That's a really long time in the animal world. Now, one reason for that is that they're highly social animals and they're very intelligent. So they spend a long time learning how to communicate and interact properly with other elephants. And because they are so intelligent, their societies are very elaborate. So they have a lot to learn. Now, if you look over here on the left, there's actually a baby elephant kind of right there by the rocks. And it's a little bit blocked, so look closely.
There's a little guy in.
And you'll see them flapping their ears every once in a while. They do that to stay cool. It blows air currents over the blood vessels back behind the ears. And they can lower their body temperature by up to 15 degrees that way. Now we'll get a good look at these guys over here. And probably one more look as we go around the corner too. Even though they look like they have really tough, thick skin, it's very sensitive and they sunburn easily. So they'll throw dirt and mud on their backs or sometimes roll around in the mud. It works as a natural form of sunscreen to help protect them. If you look over here on the right, kind of up in the tall grass, there's a very large antelope. That's a Patterson's eland.
Eating the tree?
They're one of the tallest antelope in Africa, and they are the tallest ones we're going to see on the reserve. They can grow to be up to 6 feet at the shoulder. Both the males and females have spiral horns, and when they walk, their joints make a clicking noise. That's a way that they attract mates. And they can also jump 6 feet straight up in the air from standing, like the springbok. All right, awesome. Yeah, much closer look over here on the left by the tree. Very cool. Elephants are the heaviest land animals. Males grow to be an average of 11,000 pounds. Females around 8,000, and they're already about 200 pounds when they're born. And both the male and female African elephants will have those long tusks too, and they keep growing all throughout their lives. All right, down here on the left on this island, these are greater flamingos. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. And they get that pink coloration from the beta carotene and the shrimp they eat. And when they're born gray with black legs, and they get that pink coloring when they're about a year old or so. Greater flamingos get their name because they're the largest of all flamingos. They can grow to be up to 5 feet tall, but they only weigh around 9 pounds fully grown. And they're also the lightest color pink of any flamingos. And you see there's sort of an orangish rock-like structure in the left corner over here behind the palm tree. Probably seen quite a few of them around the savannah. They're very common out here. Those are termite mounds. Back here on the right-hand side at the edge of the path, there's an ostrich.
The ostrich.
Now again, we are going to be heading that way. Hopefully get a little closer, but ostriches are the largest birds in the world. They can't fly, but they still have wings. They use them to help keep their balance while they're running. And they run about 40 miles an hour, so it's helpful to have that extra balance.
They're stupid. I don't like those birds. Remember the ones at the wildlife ranch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Aggressive.
Alright, let's see, a little bit quiet on this side. Oh, okay, look over here on the left. Kind of just behind the trees there to the left of those fallen logs, there are 2 cheetahs.
Oh.
Cheetahs where?
They're laying,
In the back, you
they're
can kind
laying
of
up
see the
there,
tails
bub.
moving.
Oh, right there.
See up there?
Right in the corner. Cheetahs are the fastest land mammals. They run about 60 miles an hour, and they'll use their tails like a rudder to help them change directions while they're running. They're the only felines that can't retract their claws, so their claws are always stuck out. And they're the only large cats that will purr like house cats. They're also the only big cats that hunt during the day. Most of them are nocturnal hunters. And they can only keep up that 60-mile-an-hour pace for a few quick seconds at a time. Just short bursts to help with their hunting. Alright, this big rock formation that looks like a bunch of rocks stacked on each other is called a kopie. Oh yeah, lots of activity over there. We'll see those ostriches a little closer.
The zebras.
There's some zebras and rhinos. You can hold up for just a brief moment, but like I said, we are going to be heading over there. Those are Grant zebras, and their stripes are a form of camouflage. When they're standing all together in big groups, predators can't always tell where one ends and the other begins, so they blend in really well with each other. And they have another good defense system besides that. They're deceptively strong animals. They've been known to break a lion's jaw with one kick. Yeah, they're a lot tougher than they look. Another very well hidden animal up here on the left, just to the left of the tree in the left corner there. There's a warthog. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of behind a rock there. They're one of the largest burrowing animals. You can see the burrows underneath. And there's another one back by the rocks in the corner there. They dig out the burrows with their long curved tusks and then back in with their teeth sticking out, so predators don't bother them while they're sleeping. Alright, we'll get another look at those zebras. There's white rhinos back in the clearing there. And some ostrich eggs, looks like, laying out in front of the tree. Very cool.
Oh, those are ostrich eggs right here.
Now, white rhinos are quite a bit bigger than the black rhinos we saw in the forest. They can weigh up to 5,000 pounds.
The huge eggs right
And
here.
it's a little hard to tell because they're kind of covered in mud right now, but they're not white in color. They're gray. They get their name from the Afrikaans word "weit," which means wide. And it's because their mouths are wide to help them graze, whereas black rhinos have triangular shaped mouths. Black rhinos, they're a very, very dark gray. Yeah, almost black. And rhinos also have very, very bad eyesight. They're extremely nearsighted, so to make up for it, they have excellent hearing. You may have seen their ears moving around quite a bit as we went by. That's how they pick up on the sounds around them and kind of how they make sense of their environment. Alright, this last area is called Magadi Glen. It's the most recent addition to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. If you look up on the left, up on the hill, there's a scimitar horned oryx. And over here on the right, there are 2 big birds. Those are yellow-billed storks. Scimitar horned oryx are a good example of why these reserves are so important. They're actually extinct in the wild. So for now, we're only going to see them on reserves and farms. So hopefully someday we'll see them back out in the world again. They're originally from the deserts of northern Africa, and they can go up to 9 months without drinking any water at all. The yellow-billed storks are carnivorous birds, and they're not picky. They'll eat pretty much any animals that'll fit in their beaks. Usually they prefer fish, but they'll also eat lizards, frogs, snakes, even other birds. Okay, well that is going to wrap it up for us today. I'm going to start heading back toward the village now. Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of different animals out there, but if you're hoping to see some more while you're here in Harambe, you can head over to Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail next door. It's a great place to see western lowland gorillas, colobus monkeys, Grevy's zebras, meerkats. There's a hippo pool and a lot of different birds. It's a great place to see the local African wildlife. And until 4:30, you can catch a train to Rafiki's Planet Watch and see some animals there as well, and animal experts that'll give demonstrations and shows. There are a lot of games, activities, some really cool behind-the-scenes opportunities there. And that's where you can visit the affection section and get up close and pet some of the more domesticated animals. So it's fun to check out if you get a chance. If I have any wilderness explorers on board, this truck is called Simba 1. Simba 1 is the name of my truck. My name is Callie, and we are just about back. I'm going to drop you off at the warden's post here. And make sure to keep your arms and hands inside the truck until Mike opens up those doors for us. And here in Harambe, we don't like to say goodbye. Sounds a little too final. So instead, I'm going to say Kwaherini. That's a Swahili phrase that means go well.
All right.
All right, Kwaherini, everybody. Thank you very much. Enjoy your stay in Harambe. And make sure to drink plenty of water. Harambe can't get very hot.
Look at the train.
This time of year.
All right, what do we think? How'd you like it? He's pretty upset about it. Hey, but he said a lot of other cool stuff, right? Yeah. Told you you can't make the lion come out. It's like the zoo. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not.